Do you know anything about bourbon? Are you just getting into the bourbon hunting hobby? Stick around. There's a lot to learn. I'll help you figure out how to pick out a decent bourbon without paying a whole lot of money and not just picking a bourbon because of the hype. Welcome back to Bourbon and Burns. I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk about how to pick out a decent bourbon. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of bourbon out there, probably 2,000 plus. And everybody new that I talk to says, how do you know what's good? How do you not know what's good? So we're going to talk a little bit about how to pick out a decent bourbon today and kind of go over a few tips. So the first thing I want to say, whenever you get into the bourbon hobby, you can go crazy. A lot of us do, believe me. But there are a lot of different bourbons out there that are decent, that are easy to find without all the hype. So first, I would say get a budget and stick to a budget what you're going to spend on a bottle. For you, that might be $25, that might be $50, that might be $100, that might be $500. But I can tell you right now from what I've had, and I haven't had every bottle under the sun, a $500 bottle probably, most likely, almost never is going to live up to that hype. So, that being said, today I'm drinking some Poor Man's Pappy. And this is the mix of the Weller 12 with the Weller Antique. Two harder to find bottles, but I was able to get my hands on a couple. So, in talking about a budget and not just a hyped up bottle, this bottle here, Buffalo Trace, is around $25 to $30. Some markets, it might be a little bit more. This Woodford Double Oak is a good bourbon. It's in your $50 to $60 range, right? And then there's some variants. So, today we're going to talk in regards to that budget, where you might land. You can get less expensive than this, you can get more expensive, and you can get a little bit more expensive, so on and so forth. So what I like to tell people is stick around $50, give or take a few dollars, but don't go up into the 75s, the 80s, the hundreds for your first time. Also, what I would go with is proof. If you're just new starting out with bourbon and you're going to be drinking it probably neat, maybe not on the rocks, I would stick with something a little bit lower proof. Don't jump into the, 125 proof right away. You're probably not going to like it. It's probably going to turn you off, and you're probably going to say, bourbon sucks, it's terrible, all it does is burn. You have to work up to that a little bit. It's similar to beer. You have to acquire a taste. It's similar to a lot of things. The first time you may try it, you may not like it. So I stuck up on the bar a couple of pretty smooth bourbons that you can drink neat and that are not super high proof. This Woodford Double Oak is very smooth. It is sweet and it is very delicious. Okay. This Green River Wheated is a lower proof. It is very good. It is not going to drink as hot as this Larceny Barrel Proof. It is not going to drink as hot as this Antique 107. Now, I talked a little bit about hype, right? You may hear about certain bottles with the hype train. The only one up here that is really a hype train is Buffalo Trace and Weller. They both come from Buffalo Trace. This is pretty hard to get unless you live in about 3 states, paying MSRP. All right. Don't start out with this Weller 107. Start out with the Green River or start out with the regular Larceny. Now, the regular Larceny is a budget bottle, $25 to $30. Okay. Start in that range. Don't initially go crazy. Buy a couple of bottles, or if you have a local bar that does a nice job, go there, get some decent pours that are pretty well priced. Don't go to a bar that's going to gouge you with pricing. Try a Woodford Double Oak. All right. Then you say, all right, I had something from Buffalo Trace. I've had something from Woodford, which is also Brown Forman, which is also Old Forester. Then try Green River. Okay. It's a little bit different. And see what you like. Is there a distillery that you have tried? Maybe you've gone out on the bourbon trail and you've liked. Maybe stick with that distillery. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and if you would, leave me a comment. It's all free, and it does really help us get some more traction out there. So I appreciate everyone helping the channel out, and hopefully we keep growing. Almost every distillery has a decent bourbon. Woodford does, Buffalo Trace does, Willet does, although this is not my favorite, Willet. Larceny does. Larceny is a Heaven Hill product. Green River does. And then Buffalo Trace has Wheateds as well. And some use multiple mash bills. Woodford is one of the most well-known. They have a reserve. Maybe give that a shot. Just your normal Woodford reserve for just about any bar you're at is going to have Woodford Reserve. If they don't have Woodford Reserve, there's a good chance that that's probably not a bar you want to be at if they have lower end than Woodford Reserve. Okay. That's just kind of what I've found. Maybe you guys have experienced something a little bit different out there, but that's kind of my baseline when I go somewhere to get a pour. All right. So there are and can be multiple different mash bills. Heaven Hill has a whole bunch. Larceny is their wheated mash bill. They have Bernheim, they have Heaven Hill, they had Old Fitzgerald. So you can kind of get a taste for some of the distilleries. Do you like a particular distillery? Do you not like a particular distillery? Start there. One big thing that I would say is stay away from special releases and single barrels. For instance, a lot of people really like the Henry McKenna 10-year. It's a good bourbon. It can be hard to find and it's pretty expensive. You're up in the $65, $70 range, right? This is a somewhat special release, but this is not a single barrel. The Henry McKenna 10-year is a single barrel. I've had a good barrel and I've tasted one that I had bought and I was extremely disappointed. So if you're new to starting out in the hobby, don't go with a single barrel. Blanton's is even a single barrel because you may get one and then you could be jaded forever on whether you like, that Blanton's or not. You could say, well, it's garbage. Well, it may just have been a bit bad single barrel. Every single barrel, even if they're two sitting right next to each other, are going to be somewhat different. They may have some similar taste profiles, but they could be varying in quality. All right, so I would say stick with something that is a batch product like a Woodford Reserve, a Green River, even Weller Antique is, Buffalo Trace definitely is, and even this Willet pot still is. Okay, so kind of go that route and don't just pick something because you've heard it on the internet. All right, don't just pick a Blanton's because you've heard Blanton's is the best. I'll give you a perfect example. I went and got Blanton's. That was one of my first highly sought after bourbons that I was going after. And then I tried the Eagle Rare. And the Eagle Rare to me is a way better bourbon than Blanton's. Blanton's is good. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of hate for Blanton's out there. But it's just not as good as Eagle Rare to me. And there could be many reasons. Is it because I think Blanton's is not an $80 bottle? Absolutely. That's one of them. Whenever you compare an $80 bottle compared to a $40 bottle, and there's not much difference, that $80 bottle leaves a bad taste in your mouth and you become jaded. So don't just buy something on price because it's expensive. It's got to be great, right? That is not the case in a lot of industries, and especially not bourbon. Next, don't only buy a bottle because of how it looks. Perfect example. I bought this bottle because I'm like, oh man, that is a sweet looking bottle. That must be really good, right? It's not bad. But if I could have any of the other bottles up here, I definitely would. All right. You guys have seen some of my other videos. I go through a lot of Buffalo Trace. I drink a good bit of antique. And this is the only bottle I've ever bought of this. And to be honest with you, friends have drank most of it. It's not my favorite. Okay. So I bought this bottle early on. Hype train. It was hard to get. I was down at Party Source in Kentucky and I was completely let down. All right. So for a while, I was really jaded with Willet products until I got introduced to a different bottle. This old Bardstown. Okay. Scott, who you've seen on the channel a little bit, had recommended it. He said, you got to try this. It's really good. And look, right there, Willet Distillery. Distilled, aged, and bottled by. This is about half the price of this. To me, this is a better bottle than what this is. Okay? So, that being said, don't only buy a bottle because it's fancy. Typically, the fancier the bottle, the worse the juice. Not always the case, but a lot of times in my experience, that's kind of the way it works. Also, for the most part, mainstream is going to give you your entry level bottles. Okay, your entry level taste profile where more of the masses enjoy it. If you've been in the hobby a long time, typically that is frowned upon. A lot of people will say, well, this Woodford is garbage, this, that, the other, right? Because they're looking for something a little bit different. But if you're just starting out, please stick to what is mainstream. Stick to also what is readily available. Now, in our market, Buffalo Trace now is readily available. Okay, I could go buy 2 cases right now, leave as I'm filming, come back, get it, and do that. I don't drink that much of it, so I'm not going to do that, but it's pretty readily available. That's a good one. Knob Creek, your regular Knob Creek, that's a great one. All right, your regular Woodford, your Woodford Double Oaked, this is a little harder to get, getting easier. Or your Green River is available in most areas as well. So there are a few options there, but I would stick with something mainstream. They're all lower proof, mainstream. Why? Because they go good in cocktails. They're decent to sip on neat, and they go decent with ice. But know that if you're using ice, you may want something a little higher proof, because whenever you put it in ice, it's going to water down, it's going to proof down, and then you won't get the flavors. But if that's how you have to start drinking out, that's how I started drinking it. And now I primarily only drink my bourbon neat. If it's not going in a cocktail. If it's going in a cocktail, it's pretty much this or Maker's Mark. Okay. Lastly, and I kind of touched on this in a couple of moments ago, if you are just starting out, okay, stay away from the craft small distilleries. The reason I say that is because sometimes smaller craft distilleries have a different funk to them. And I don't mean funk in a bad way, all right? It's just a different flavor profile. So if you get something like a Redwood Empire, which I have, it's a wheated bourbon. It tastes a lot different than this Larceny, this Green River, or even this Weller, okay? It has a totally different funk to it. And that could turn you off. If you have a wheated bourbon and they're like, try this wheated bourbon, it's really good. I love Redwood Empires, okay? But it is a totally different flavor profile because it's ricked out in California. So that's going to give you a totally different observation and a totally different experience with wheated bourbons than these 3 Kentucky bourbons will. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I would stay kind of away from the craft stuff until you get a little more into it. Start building your palate And after trying some oaked stuff, after trying some weeded, after trying some Kentucky straight bourbon, and maybe into some finishes like some port finish or something of that nature, like the 1792 cognac, something with a little bit of a finish to it. And then you can start to develop, all right, here's my lane. Me personally, I am a weeder fanatic, have been from the very beginning. I came from the craft beer side of things, and I love weeded craft beers. That's my go to. Whatever it has to do with the wheat in it, that's my flavor. Do I love everything else in different profiles? Absolutely. But if I'm sitting there wondering what to drink, a lot of times I just lean in and go towards the weeded end of things. That's where I'm kind of at right now in my journey. So let me know down in the comments where you're at in your journey. Are you just new starting out? If you are, bless you. Don't let the haters hate. Drink it how you like it. If you want it on ice, if you want it neat, if you want to put it in a doggone cup of Coke, put it in a doggone cup of Coke. Drink it how you like it. Don't let anybody, including me, tell you any different. All right? Next, let me know, hey, I've tried 2 of these 3. What do you think? Ask me for recommendations. I'll give you a few. I haven't had all the 2000. I don't know that I'll ever get there, but I have had quite a few. And with the help of other people out on the Bourbon Trail and hunting, they've given me some great recommendations. Honestly, that's how I got stuck on larceny, was a recommendation standing in line to a guy that was more than helpful. So people will reach out and they will help you. Just kind of don't be a jerk about it, right? And lastly, as we close things up, if you are newer out on the Bourbon Trail, don't go over your budget, okay? There is great whiskey to be had. You don't always have to have FOMO. A lot of stuff nowadays, there will be more of it. Is it going to be the Pappy 20? Probably not, of course. Those are some hard to get bottles, but I remember a year and a half ago, this larceny was crazy. You couldn't get your hands on it, right? Obviously, this is a little tougher. And even the Willet pot still, okay? That was really hard to get to. And there's becoming more and more bourbon. So relax, enjoy the journey. Try not to let the FOMO get to you like it gets to all of us, okay? And just enjoy it. And if you're on the other side of things and you've been in it a while, please don't be a curmudgeon about it, okay? Just enjoy the new people coming in, because the enjoyment of the new people coming in is what keeps us all excited about it. And actually, that's what's letting some of us craft distillers get everything out to the masses so that we can enjoy more bourbon. So please, have fun with it. It's a hobby. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hope to see you out on the Bourbon Trail. Cheers.